interestingly enough, if someone asks me this question, they're like, what supplements would you recommend for fat loss in general, right? We're going to use it specifically here for like abs. But if someone was going to ask me that, I want to lose weight, what supplements would you recommend? I'd be like, all right, we're talking supplements.
Why don't we just for 30 minutes say, all right, back to
All right.
Why is that? That's not funny. Why is that so funny?
All right. She laughs at it and then doesn't even commit to the bit. Like, dude, if you're going to talk
because
like
I'm
that, you
just
gotta
imagining people watching this and being like, what?
That's
like WUT.
That's 97% of you. Like, what are we watching?
That was some reels popped up of like the back in the day YouTube, where like the classic videos that everyone watched, and you look at it now, you're like, what?
Yeah, and like
how is that so
3
popular?
million was like a viral count.
Crazy.
Like that, the whole world seeing this is crazy.
Yeah.
Now people get it. A week.
Sam Sulek gets it in a day.
Okay, so if you've clicked on this episode, and you're listening to this episode, then you saw the title, which means we're talking supplements. Let's preface quickly here. We're not going to spend much time here, but none of this is medical information. This is entertainment purposes. Okay, got that out of the way. We are not doctors.
Disclaimer.
We are not doctors. This is purely entertainment. This is sarcasm, rhetorical. Okay?
Doctor of muscle.
I'm a doctor of muscle. Yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah.
Honorary doctorate of muscle.
Do you think I put 10,000 hours into building muscle?
Ooh, you should try and calculate that.
I mean, 10 years? Yeah. 100%,
yeah, so you definitely have then. Yeah, 100%.
I'm an expert.
So what we're going to do though, we're going to go over the supplements. We actually haven't even talked about this together yet. So she's going to share some of hers. I'm going to share some of mine, and then we'll kind of put them together. And also coming at it from different angles. So I've never competed as a bodybuilder. Sam has multiple times. So there's going to be some overlap there in regards to how supplements that are required or helpful for getting a six-pack, getting super, super lean. We don't mean just getting fit. We don't even mean health.
Stage lean, which is ultimate.
Yeah. And what I'm using is like a range. So I would say, because I like what it is really like the supplements that would be helpful for getting abs. So for a lot of people, you're going to get abs. You don't need to get stage lean, but that range. So we'll talk about supplements that could help you get to either one. Because there's going to be supplements that you don't need to get a six-pack, and you also don't need to get stage lean, but you almost kind of do. And Sam will talk more about that.
Yeah.
Right? There's, interestingly enough, if someone asks me this question, they're like, what supplements would you recommend for fat loss in general? Right? We're going to use it specifically here for like abs. But if someone was going to ask me that, I want to lose weight, what supplements would you recommend? I'd be like, none. Probably, without context anyway, because you really don't need any supplements to lose fat. And the ones that are helpful, which I'll go over today, keep this in mind, they are not necessary. They might help 2 to 5% depending on the person and how you respond to them, but they're not like a game changer. You're not going to look a certain way and be like, that was that supplement that I took. It's all going to come down to your nutrition and training. So to get stage lean, let's start with the craziest ones.
So
we'll work backwards.
The question is, can you bodybuild naturally? The answer is yes.
You can. You definitely can. Okay.
But the question is, what does it take to go to the top level? Maybe not what does it take, but what can you take to go to the top level?
Right.
First and foremost, PEDs. We're talking, when people think PEDs, they strictly think anabolics, derivatives of testosterone in many different options.
They're thinking of steroids.
But there's many different categories of PEDs. any type of fat burning, peptide use, thyroid use, anti-estrogen,
stimulant.
Yeah, fat burners.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So fat burning stimulants.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So there's many different classes to classify someone. Like someone might not even be taking any type of steroids, but still would be considered not natural because they've touched other banned substances.
PED is the umbrella. Steroids are just a branch of PEDs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I want everyone to know, especially if you haven't competed, there are two kind of streams of bodybuilding. There is the natural stream where they do drug tests, and actually now they're starting to do polygraph. And then there's the open stream where nothing is tested. So nothing is technically banned other than your spray tan can't be gold.
You just got to look like a freak and take whatever you want to get there.
Exactly, right? So those are supplements for getting stage lean in the open division, okay, open categories. But for the sake of everyone, there's only a few I really want to talk about that I have used in combination with PEDs that natural competitors can use as well. And mainly magnesium, you need it. Usually near the end of a prep, you start to look at potentially adding in some potassium as well if you're not getting enough in your diet. So the electrolytes in general are very important to keep your eye on. So, when you're salting your meal, you're technically supplementing as well, right? So you need sodium, magnesium, potassium, making sure those are in the proper amounts. And then I like to use, even me personally, a natural diuretic. So mainly dandelion root, capsules, tea, things like that near the end to dry out, which is just dehydrating yourself. Everyone's always like, oh, I'm trying to dry out, bro. And it's like, no, you're just trying to get dehydrated, right? And then there's not many other like natural ones. I mean, there's like L-carnitine I like. I think you can get away without it.
Is L-carnitine not banned?
No. L-carnitine?
Injectable L-carnitine?
No. Capsules.
No,
but even
the
injectable is not banned.
That's what I'm asking.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You can get it on the shelf. In
injectable L-carnitine?
No, but you can get L-carnitine on the shelf. Like when they test you, they can't test if you injected it or.
I'm not asking about testing. I'm asking about what's banned.
Yeah, but they would only know that you took it. Like they wouldn't know the route.
Correct. I'm not asking about how good or stringent their testing is. I'm just asking what's banned.
L-carnitine, any form is
legal.
Like, I don't know. I'd have to look up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. You're the one who competes in these feds. I have no idea.
Injectable L-carnitine is the most painful injection ever.
Yeah, I've heard people say
So
that
painful.
part of that is the product quality too, though.
Oh, I just won't.
Yeah.
I just
try. Yeah, I didn't know if that was banned or not.
It shouldn't be.
It's an amino acid.
Yeah, but like any type of, you got to be careful now because even HRT is banned. So if you get a hormone replacement from your doctor, you have to fill out a special form to try to get approved to compete naturally. And majority of the time, I've heard they turn that form down.
Makes sense.
So just compete in open.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
If you're taking something for performance reasons or for health reasons, you're still taking something.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if you're taking something that's banned, it's a PED, then
I don't
you got to go open.
Exactly. And I also don't agree with like not taking that thing, even though it's going to really improve your quality of life just to stay natural. Because I think you're
just take it.
Then doing yourself a disservice. I had a client who was prepping for a natural show.
Mm-hmm.
Her doctor wants her on HRT and she has now decided to do an open show.
Yeah. Her life will be better probably because of it.
Yeah.
Assuming, the doctor did their due diligence and she's appropriately prescribed this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting stage lean, especially the lean side of things, you're going to err more to the side of stimulants and fat burners that are considered PEDs. But also just lots of cardio, very, very, very low poverty macros. You'll get shredded.
Yeah. So from supplement perspective then, so can you put that together? Like what would you recommend?
Nothing.
Okay. So let me go through mine.
For stage lean, like I get people to take magnesium.
How would that help you get a six pack?
Lower stress.
Okay.
Your muscles need it to function.
Nice. Yeah. I have my thoughts on it. So my recommendation for most people is going to be like, definitely magnesium. Now, this is the interesting part. Magnesium itself is not going to get you shredded. Magnesium itself does not burn fat. This is very important to understand. You don't take magnesium and then you get leaner. But why I like it in the presence of a fat loss phase, if someone is trying to get a six pack, assuming they're already relatively lean, right? So they don't have 40 pounds to lose or even 30 pounds. They maybe have 5 to 10 to 15, maybe 20 max. So they're already relatively fit. Kind of like where I'm at with my fat loss phase right now. I'm at the tail end of mine and I'll have lost 15 total pounds over 12 weeks or so. And it's not that much body weight, but I was already fit before. So I'm going from like leanish to really lean. So if you're going from leanish to really lean and not overweight to leanish, you know what I mean? You're at the tail end, then magnesium I think can be really, really helpful because again, it's not helping you burn fat, but what it's doing is it indirectly supports that process in a way because it's going to help with stress management. It's going to help with sleep, and it's going to help with mood. Those are all kind of like related, but mood regulation, mood support, sleep, and then just supporting like neurotransmitter stuff, which would be, I guess, basically with mood as well, but supporting like GABA, one of your neurotransmitters that helps you relax and whatnot, which is going to be really helpful when you're trying to get pretty lean, because when you're getting really lean, you're going to have chronically elevated stress hormones like cortisol and other things. So, and that's part of the deal. That's part of the cost of doing business, of getting, going from lean-ish to lean. So if you're trying to get a six pack, that's just part of the cost of doing business. And to do that, if you can, or while you're doing that, if you can mitigate or blunt some of those uncomfortable or somewhat mildly harmful effects, you can do that with magnesium because it'll support sleep, it'll support mood, it'll support stress management. And then if you can do those things effectively, that's going to help your metabolism. That's going to help you stay consistent with decision making, right? And if you can do those things, then you'll be more successful with fat loss. So that's kind of how I see it. It's like it's an indirect way to support the road to a six pack, but you also don't need it. It in and of itself is not going to help you like burn fat. The best thing from magnesium, I would put in there like minerals and electrolytes in general, like what Sam said, but magnesium definitely I'm a huge fan of. I keep that high anyway, but I think it's even more important once you're, in a controlled starvation, which is what a calorie deficit is going to be if you're trying to get lean. I think it's even more important.
What supplements were you taking during your cut you just did?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through those because those aren't pertinent to getting a six pack, but I will say the ones that I think would be helpful. So the magnesium, which is one I just went over. So I'll take magnesium. I don't take creatine because for me, it's always like weirdly affected my sleep. I don't know what the link is. I've talked to actual scientists that have done studies on creatine, and so they know firsthand all the data around this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what to tell me either. And it's funny because in the research around creatine, you have some really strong research showing that it's really helpful with cognition under situations of extreme sleep deprivation. So if you're not sleeping well, creatine's actually really good. So if you're getting 5-6 hours, having high creatine stores is extremely helpful for cognitive reasons. Helps you still perform higher than you otherwise would. So it's weird because I don't know. So that's why I don't take creatine. Other than that, I would recommend creatine because it's going to help with strength. It's going to help with performance in the gym. It's going to help with maintaining muscle cellular hydration status while you're cutting, while you're losing body fat, which is going to be extremely helpful as well. You'll probably actually look leaner too, just aesthetically, visually. But so I didn't take that. Again, I don't put too much stock in supplements. I'm consistent with them. I'm constantly experimenting with different ones, but I don't think they're going to make or break you. I personally take supplements not from a performance perspective. I'm always looking at it from a longevity and a health perspective. For me, that's what I'm always looking at it for. So, but yeah, magnesium. And then you know what? The best one, especially if you're not, forget if you're someone who's like, I'm not a competitive bodybuilder, the world of, open bodybuilding or hormones or whatever, you're not that person. Like I don't compete in bodybuilding either, right? So if like you're not in that route, then honestly, one of the most effective things that you can get through coffee is just going to be caffeine. Caffeine is really good for two reasons, because there is a non-zero amount of metabolic upregulation that's happening. So you are burning a little bit more fat. It's so minimal and insignificant that I don't think that that's particularly the value case in it. What I think is more helpful is it helps to give you a little bit of like mental alertness, which is what people call energy, right? It's not really energy. It's more just mental alertness. And that will help when you're in this chronic calorie deficit, trying to go from leanish to lean to get that 6-pack, go from fit, 6-pack. The caffeine can actually really, really help in that regard, especially when you're in between meals and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not eating till this time. I got to wait 5-6 hours, whatever your, eating schedule is. It can really help in the middle of that.
I think the best supplement for 6-pack is hunger.
You can't take hunger though.
No, but it can take you.
Oh, it definitely takes you. Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's just, it's not necessarily what you're taking, it's what you're not taking, which is excess food.
Yeah. And ultimately we're doing this episode because people ask this stuff. People want to know. You could take 0 and you're not going to look any worse or any better. It's going to come down to your nutrition strategies. It's going to come down to your training. It's going to come down to your sleep and lifestyle and how long you can stay consistent to those things, not the supplements you're taking or not taking. They're kind of the icing on the cake.
What you have to consider too is that people end up taking too many supplements, even if they're considered natural supplements, and that can cause issues as well. That can also make you sick.
So natural, this is important to understand. Natural supplements are not safer.
Are very powerful and should only be used when necessary and, as per that person that needs it. I had a client once on over 30 natural supplements, and because I got to take this one for this and this one for this and this one for this and this one for this.
Like she chose to take those. Okay.
And
you weren't prescribing them.
Nope. I prescribed.
I guess you're not prescribing any of them, but yeah.
I recommended a very normal amount. That is what I tell people like get off this, you don't need this is not doing anything, right? And just do what actually works. And then that person came to me and was like, oh, by the way, like this is what I'm actually taking. And my mind was just imploding.
Yeah.
So I said, nope. So who knows though, because sometimes that's its own mental health thing. Where you think more is more. When there's a point where more is a complete inflection. And
almost always in most things in life.
So
I shouldn't even say most things in life. In a lot of things in life, and I 100% think this applies to supplements, less is almost always better.
Yeah.
With supplements, because you got to remember every supplement you take, natural or not, is a stress on the body. Your body has to process it either digestively, through the liver. Like it's got to go through all of these processes, and the more you do that, the more stress on the body, which is not necessarily an issue, but it could be if you're doing that unnecessarily for a long period of time.
And I want to just touch on protein powder quickly, because many people think that is a supplement. Like technically, but it's really just a food replacement.
It's technically not.
It's just protein. Yeah. And I have people being like, why am I not having protein powder? Like, why don't you have me taking protein powder? I was like, you totally could, but then you're going to be eating way less. So you're already hungry. Now I'm going to have to take out your chicken breast here. Now I think sometimes people don't think protein powder has calories. They just think it's a supplement. You just mix it and you go like, hey, if I'm hungry, can I have a couple protein shakes? It's like, no, because that's going to take you out of the deficit because
Yeah.
it has a lot of calories.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that quick because I think it's more meal replacement instead of actual supplement because it has caloric value. It just fills a protein macro for you.
It's food. It's just food. It's just food. It's dried milk powder.
So I usually have people like, yeah, why don't you have me taking that? I'm like, because I want you to eat real food because I think that is always better.
I haven't taken a protein supplement in 4 years.
You tried one the other day.
That's right. I tried half a scoop of one as a sample from Popeyes. Like other than that though, I haven't actually purchased and regularly taken a protein powder. It's all whole food. When I was gaining weight, when I was maintaining my weight during this cut, I'm not taking a protein powder. I'm just doing all whole food. And I'm not anti-protein powder.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
It's just like I have some historically like negative digestive stuff. So I'm just trying to do it all food. And then I take other supplements to support, again, my health. Like what I was saying before in regards to that, not to support fat loss specifically. Although if you're supporting health, you're probably going to support fat loss indirectly, coming back to like my whole theory around why you take magnesium and whatnot. But again, I would love to take protein powder because you can make it fit into such like delicious, healthy snacks, you know, but like I can just do that with other things.
And I think that my brain just froze.
It's all good. Yeah. Protein powder is food. It's not a supplement. So,
if someone was going to ask us which one we would recommend, the answer I want to give to that is like whichever one you can digest the best is going to be the most important. There's no like, you know, one is not like insane quality and you're going to get more muscle and things like that. It's like just whatever you can digest. It's usually good to use on an off season or bulk in terms of bodybuilding because you'll usually have to get more food in, so you're not as hungry. So it's usually easier to drink something versus on a cut. I like to keep it whole food, depending if people want it or not, right? Like it's easier to just make a shake than cook.
Well, and also like when you're on a cut, you want to control for like higher food volume.
Yeah.
So that's a reason not to have a shake. But at the same time, if you did the protein powder in a smoothie full of fruit and veggies, that's very filling. So
creamy.
Yeah, creamy too. But I just mean like there's ways to utilize it that isn't just shaken water.
Yeah.
So that's like an advantage when you're on a cut. But yeah, so 6-pack supplement. So magnesium, there's a lot of more dark side stimulants and PED type stuff that you could take if you chose to go that route, or if you're a competitor and you're in the open stream. But I think magnesium and caffeine are two of the best ones if you want to go down that route. I think people should take magnesium anyway, regardless if we're talking 6-packs right now. And I can help you with like giving you a guideline on where to start with like dosing and different forms and whatnot, which would be incredibly helpful because most people don't know what to do. So you can always DM me for that. Those are going to be the two that I would recommend. And then third being creatine. But again, that doesn't like relate to 6-pack. That more so relates to just, you should just take that anyway, which so does magnesium. So it's like magnesium, creatine, just take them anyway. Then caffeine.
Did you see the recent meme going around about creatine? It's like, yes, your baby should be on creatine. Because it's recommended for like, you've talked about this 99% before.
Of people should probably take it. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I don't know. Creatine, I think caffeine is the most like acutely helpful.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get lean. Like if I had to do 0 caffeine and I was cutting, I'd be like, oh, this is going to be definitely 5 times harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
so it is noticeably very helpful when you're in a calorie deficit for sure. But other than that, like maybe L-theanine, which is an amino acid that I'm a fan of as well to help manage, like if you're a little bit edgy, if you're someone who gets a little bit anxious or worried, or you want to improve your sleep quality, it's great to take before bed. If you get anxious, you could take it in the middle of the day, whatever. It's just amino acid. It's one of the amino acid main compounds in green tea, which is why green tea is kind of chillaxing, you know? So L-theanine could be particularly helpful if you're pushing and you're like, okay, I'm feeling the stress of the diet. Maybe watch your caffeine. Don't keep pushing that higher, and then keep your magnesium and L-theanine high. That could be really, really helpful because you want to support sleep. It's almost, I'm looking at it like what helps the most with getting really, really lean? Well, metabolism, anything that affects metabolism and sleep, which those are like very interrelated. So what can we do to support sleep? well, we can, as from a supplement perspective, magnesium and L-theanine is going to be really, really helpful. So those are the things that I would recommend. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
No,
those are going over the actual,
simple.
Yes, those are going over the actual supplement. So if you have questions on guidelines around like, hey, where should I start with dosing and whatnot, they obviously have recommendations on the bottle. So we're not going to give you personalized recommendations. We can't do that. We can give you kind of a guideline on where like people can kind of start an experiment for themselves if they want to do that, you know,
yep.
Based on our own experience and just the research over the last couple decades. So,
and I also think comment below if we missed a supplement that you take that has worked for you for getting lean. We would love to see what people are trying.
Yeah. And then you can check out the description because I actually have four of my favorite just supplement stacks in general. So sleep, there's a stack, supplement stack for optimizing your sleep, supplement stack for optimizing lean muscle growth, stack for longevity, like detoxification, hormone production, stuff like that. And then the other one was, I forget what the fourth one, but there's 4 total stacks, my favorite that I've experimented with on and off throughout, you know, the last 15 years of me being in fitness. If you want that totally for free, then click the link in the description below and I'll send it over to you.
Sweet.
Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show and stay tuned next week. Love ya.